All right. So I read this book by David Goggins, who's a US Navy SEAL. It's called Can't Hurt Me. The guy's a freaking machine, and he runs an ultra marathon, 100-mile runs plus. So what happened is, I'm 43, so I ran 3 times at 38 degrees plus, completely smashed. But it's happened. I haven't run in that heat in the last couple of weeks. There were some instances where I could have, but his book is all about suffering, and that's what I want to ask you. What do you feel about suffering? And I actually enjoyed it because, and it's coming off the back of the book, but I'm not doing it now. But I know I'll enjoy it if I do it again. What's your theory on it?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. The moment you go out and say suffering, I actually would convert what you're doing as being something other than suffering. The fact that you're going out and desiring to go out and hurt yourself, so to speak, punish yourself, go through, immense pain and the heat fatigue running, you're actually getting a bit of satisfaction through that. It feels like you're achieving something. And so when we flip that equation around where you're somehow relating it to benefit, to value, or might even be experience. Not many people have gone and decided to run 5K, 10K in such heat. Probably not that
22K.
You wish. Not many people have gone out and decided to do that. So when you do go out and decide to do that, it's a very, very different type of psychological relationship you have with that pain. And so I wouldn't call that suffering because your relationship's different. The suffering happens when you're kind of in a tug of war with the discomfort, when you don't want that pain to be there, and you're trying to kind of resolve it, get away from it. So the avoidance of it has a lot to do with the equation of suffering.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense because I like to say the word suffering because it makes me feel stronger.
Yeah, it's a little ego sort of boost, like, oh yeah, I went through suffering. What's interesting though, if you repeat it, that's where it will change. So if you start going out and running in extreme weather regularly, you'll often lose the novelty. So once the novelty's gone, you will start to go and say, oh, I don't want to go out today, can't be bothered. You'll start having a relationship of avoidance to it rather than a relationship of this is novel, I get to go out and tell someone about it and it's kind of fun and I'm stretching myself and challenging. And it's a challenging sort of activity. Very similar to when someone starts a brand new job, they're all very excited, or even a relationship, they're very, very excited and it's all kind of novel and so on. And then as time passes, we start almost wrestling with the workplace or wrestling with our partner in that, we've got difference of opinions, we've got difference of expectations, we don't want to do certain activities, why is this deadline at the workplace, so early when it's going to sit on someone's desk. We start to wrestle with it versus kind of almost inviting it, and taking pleasure in that space. So I'm not sure how, is it Goggins? Goggins. I'm not sure how Goggins, I haven't read his book, how he sort of relates to it, but there's a good chance he gets a level of satisfaction through how far he can push himself. So, over the years, he's probably done extraordinary things, which, I'd applaud him in being able to take himself to limits. But he's obviously a very unique type of guy who's probably, could have a background of, a SAS soldier or, Navy SEAL type scenario, where he gets something, a bit more intrinsically rewarding by doing that such high levels of, excruciating sort of activity.